They insist they want it like this. Hello one and hello all. Greetings to all of you right here on the African continent, in diaspora and lands far and wide. Live with Mapunga J, broadcasting from Zimbabwe. We are here on your channel, Farmers of Thought, where we're discussing African problems and looking for African solutions. We identify our problems as Africans and we solve our own problems. And today, I would like us to look at the subject of the African leaders that we want, the quality of African leaders that we want. And if you saw me some few weeks ago when I was with DJ Spoo on the Hustlers Corner, we used the square of success box, which is a line on the left, a line at the bottom, a line on the end, and a line on top, and two lines that cross inside, giving us 4 triangles inside and 6 lines that encompass that envelope of success. And I want us to take the same envelope of success and then move it into the leadership qualities that we are looking for as African people. And you will take note, the last few weeks have been stormed up with war in Sudan. The war in Congo is ever blazing, and the gold mafia story in Zimbabwe, and the BRICS conversation, the American collapse of the dollar, the quality of leadership that we're actually having right now globally. Are these the types of leaders that will take us where we want to go? And more so, are our African leaders equipped enough to begin to face the North, the East, the West, and the South, and to carry the nation where we want it to go? So on that envelope of success, there are 4 triangles, but with 6 lines. The first line is on the left, next line is at the bottom, the third line is at the end, the other line is on top, then the 2 lines that are inside, triangle A, B, C, and D inside that. I want us to take that envelope of success and then convert it into what I might want to call the leadership qualities and models that we are looking for. So yes, every country in terms of independence, we must start right. We must start right. And starting right includes prioritizing the people, having ownership of the means of production, producing your own qualifications and educational systems, respond to your own resources as a country, value your own culture, and etc. and etc. You could find most of that information on the book that I submitted entitled African Questions and African Solutions. Building solid foundations as a nation. What are the basis of what we call a nation? Sovereignty, self-governance, self-actualization, self-determination. What does that mean for you as a nation? Then the line that is on the top side would be speaking of what are your limitations as a country? Are you a landlocked country? Your education and literacy rate, your resources, your weather patterns, and tribal issues that you might be facing as a country. The line that closes on the other end, do you have clear goals, a strategy that as a country you know where you want to go? Like China, they knew where they were going. Like America, the American dream, they knew where they were going. And I wonder if Africans, up to now, we have what I might want to call the African dream. Where do we want to take ourselves? And where do we want to take our children? The line that goes up, how do you cope with success? That could be a good story for other countries that are doing very well. I'm looking at Rwanda, looking at Egypt, I'm looking at Algeria, I'm looking at South Africa, I'm looking at Botswana and Namibia, countries that might seem and look like they are going far and they're doing better. Learn to cope with success. Don't let success get too much into your head. And you forget that you are not alone on the continent here. There are other people that are around you. How do you deal with your success? Whether that success was achieved by yourself or it was achieved by the colonial system, that's a conversation for another day. And of course, the line that goes down, learn to deal with your failures. Rwanda will always remain a good example for me. After the genocide, how do you convert that failure into a success story? So that will now be telling you of the 6 lines, starting early or starting right, building solid foundations, having clear goals in mind, understanding your limitations, having a clear path of dealing with success, and coming down how to deal with your failures. But for this model on leadership, I will take the exterior lines as the examples of personal development. Then when we move over into the triangles that are inside, which is A, B, C, and D. What kind of leadership are we looking for in Africa? Number one, every leader must be healthy. I mean healthy, physically healthy. It's unfortunate that we get and to elect leaders, and sometimes we forget the very basic commodity that they have. And that commodity is neither money, nor popularity, nor educational qualifications. Their personal health becomes most important. For if the leader is not healthy, mentally, physically, and otherwise, a healthy mind produces a healthy body produces a healthy mind. It's important for a leader to make sure that you look after your health. Above your wealth in the bank, the next biggest deposit that you have, it is the deposit of health. So what quality of health do we have as leaders? It's one thing to have African leaders who are always running up into hospitals every other week for high blood pressure, for diabetes, for liver, for stomach, for back pains, collapsing and all these things. And they are supposed to be leading the country, the nation, but their own health needs them to lead them into fullness of health and welfare. So health is important. Every good leader must make sure that they look after their own health, because health is wealth. Without good health, even the richest man is poor. So before you can just take a man and put him into office, because these presidential offices, these government offices, they come with lots of stress. They come with lots of long meetings. They come with lots of expectations. And if you are not physically healthy, some of these appointments could actually destroy you and destroy your own body. So find a good method of living. Find a good method of health. Look after your health. And number two, every good leader must be mentally equipped. That is the bottom. Building mental resources. This speaks to education. This speaks to training. Your own personal training and development. Do you have the quality of mind that can deal with government institutions, deal with policy issues, deal with law issues, deal with cultural conflicts, deal with economic issues, deal with multinational, international relations? Do we have leaders that we put into African offices who are physically healthy? Over and above their physical health, do they also have the mental capacity to deal and work, improve, transform, change the demographics, the thinking? Are they okay in their minds? Are they healthy in their minds? I'm talking now about mental health. Are they equipped to deal with debates and challenges? When someone walks up to you from another country and asks you as a leader, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Do we have a leader who has a backbone and a spine that is academically calibrated so that they can actually challenge and face up with the questions of the international community? And you look at some of our leaders now, thumbs up to Ruto in Kenya. I heard him speak in one of the interviews there, and I said, now there he's starting to talk. Jomo Kenyatta did me proud the other day. Museveni did me proud the other day. Mugabe did me proud the other day. In some certain cases, Mandela did me proud. There's some times when people are asking you questions and you need to stand up and answer your questions. Even Honorable Mnangagwa the other day did me proud. Are you going to be running a campaign here to look at gay and lesbian rights? What are you going to do? Says, none of my business. The Constitution says, and he stood his grounds. Well, the concept of the Constitution and other things, I can leave that for today. But you need a leader that is mentally equipped, mentally able to debate, to talk, above all, to think, and be proactive in their thinking processes in terms of dealing with the challenges of a public office. So physical health, important. Number two, we need leaders that are mentally equipped, educated, with engineering minds, how to build roads, how to build industries, how to form banks, how to build dams, how to create electricity and energy, how to heal diseases and deal with problems. I'm not saying he must have all the information, but to a certain extent, a good leader for Africa right now, IT issues, artificial intelligence issues, agriculture, for example, textiles, mineralogy, oceanology. Come on, be professional in something. know how to do something. It can't just be military, how to shoot and kill. You must also know strategies, how to plan and foster and carry a country to the future that you want. Physical health is one. Two, it is the mental health. Three, every good leader must be spiritually connected. I don't care to what. It is even better if it is culturally circumcised in the ethnicity of his own land and people. He must understand the spirituality of the land on which he is functioning. You can't just be a leader on whiskey and on brandy, on a glass of wine, a few ladies here on the left and right, and when it comes to your own personal spirituality, you don't have a compass. A leader must have a compass. Where are you connecting? And with what are you connecting? And in what direction? What is your relationship with your own spirituality? We have lots of leaders on the African continent who don't know their land. Their land does not know them. They don't know the cultures of their own people. They have no history of their own background, where they are coming from. And you say you are leading a people. Where are you leading the people to? A leader must be physically healthy. A leader must be mentally healthy. A leader must be spiritually conscious, so that you don't fall into the trap of being present in your office but absent in your spirit. Lastly, leaders must have a social dimension, interacting with the community, getting to know the people, working with the people, putting their ear on the ground and hearing the challenges that the people are going through. And you begin to understand that the cries of the people become your passion, become your agenda, become your driving force into moving you forward. Now, when you look into the history of the African leaders, from the ancient and old days of the Mabuto Sese Sekos, you look into the Idi Aminis, you look into the stories of other North African leaders who are there, the Chilubas and the Robert Mugabes in Zimbabwe. Boom! I wake up the other day and I find myself with a full divorce, settlement inquiry of our beloved daughter Bona Mugabe, right here in the country, having to divorce with her husband. And the issue is not whether people are getting divorced or not, but the details that came out of that divorce settlement. The young man decided to look into the family treasures, and there he comes up with an astounding, shocking list that blew the whole country to the floor. 21 farms, only for the daughter, Bona Mugabe. We don't know how many farms does the estate of His Excellency, may his soul rest in peace, Honorable Robert Mugabe, the whole estate, as to what is in that estate. How many farms are in there? How many companies are in there? Well, some of it is private, but we believe when you're in a public office, you must also be accountable to your people. And over and above him, we have the Honorable First Lady, who must also now come into limelight to find out what is it that the Honorable President left for them. We have the two other boys that are on the sidelines who are also going to come into limelight as to what is it that there was left also in their charge. Ultimately, you have an African leader who grew powerful and in the midst of their power. And I think that some of these kind of behaviors need to be rebuked. And I'm not saying so to make Mugabe turn in his grave. I'm saying so for the young leaders. Because with the kind of education that we have, with the kind of moral balances and spiritual connections and social inclinations and physical health, body, mind, and soul, when you get into the office, some of your deficiencies are always exaggerated and they are blown out, and the weaknesses that you have begin to show off. And I think that I've said in another video that some of these old African presidents, their monies and wealth is sitting in Swiss banks. And the Swiss banks, in the death of the president, they're actually benefiting from that money, because there's a whole lot of paperwork that must be looked at to freeze the estate and then try and move the money back into the country where it was taken away from. We also hear from other grapevine that our Honorable First Lady, there's some properties in Dubai for 5.3 billion, and in Europe That must be accounted for, because leadership must come with accountability to a certain level. Then we don't just give people a free passport to do what they want when they want to do, and leave the people starving and in bad spaces. And for me, this speaks to the quality of leadership that we need to develop as Africans. It's not just you getting into power and getting all the resources to yourself. I'm very excited. President Emerson Mnangagwa released it the other day in one of the conferences that we went to, that he is doing a full land audit to identify the army generals, to identify the bourgeoisies, to identify the political leaders who have been collecting farms to themselves, some 5, 10, 15, 20 farms in their names, in their cousin, in their wives, in their etc. And these farms are going to be assessed. We're going to be left with only the farm that you can work on. The rest of it must go to other people also, because in the midst of growth, sometimes you grow up with deficiencies. And when you get old, you overcompensate either with shoes or with clothes or with cars or with houses or with property, the things that you never had when you were growing up. Finally, now that you're in an office of power, you want to overextend yourself and overcompensate, which is a mental issue, by the way. It's a mental issue. It actually shows some line of thinking that this over-hogging, over-compensatory behavior, it's a psychological issue which we need to deal, particularly with comrades who spend 10, 15, 20 years at war, no food, no clothes, no house, no nothing. And they wake up one morning, boom, they're sitting in government and they have access to everything. Sometimes we may need actually to take some of them into detoxification spaces where we can tell them, it's okay now, war is over, let's live together with other children, let's learn to share, let us be responsible. And this is how, as African people, we can begin to grow. And I think I was on a rampage yesterday, making and sending off some suggestions of the Africa that we want. Churches, schools, and mosques. We need them to have business ownerships and have business initiatives, employ more people and change the trajectory of histories. Schools need to start developing technical colleges, innovation, inventors. We need quality of teachers that can teach these students to match up with the demands that Africa is now bringing forth. We also need to start thinking as Africans, where do we want to go? Here is America with their interests. Here is Europe with their interest. Here is China with their interests. The question is, what are the interests of Africa? And how do we begin to develop the quality of leadership that we want? So this is not only for the presidents around the continent, this is also for you as a fellow traveler with me, as a fellow farmer with me on Farmers of Thought. In the event you become a leader, what kind of a leader are you going to be? Be physically healthy, be mentally healthy, be spiritually connected, above all, have a healthy social dynamic. This can also be turned into a country's way of thinking. What is the health of the country? What is the HR, human capacity of that country? What is the spiritual vortex of that country? What are the social dynamics of that country? You can turn it also into an organizational conversation. What is our infrastructure? What is our human resource? What is our spiritual founding? And again, what is our spiritual extension? Churches can also use the same model. What is the health of the church? What quality of information are we feeding our people? What is the spirituality of this church? And what are we trying to connect people with? Ultimately, how is our church reaching the community? With those few words, I thank you all and share this video with as many people as we can towards the African leaders that we want. Yours truly, Maponga J. Don't do what I wouldn't do. If you do it better.